back. We were just talking about really bad contracts, and I think we narrowed it down to the two worst contracts in the NBA. And James, I think you were talking about John Wall and Al Horford.
I was saying John Wall and maybe Tobias, but Al's no. The only thing I'm saying is, like, if you trade for John Wall, at least he raises the floor. The worst team, and he'll raise the floor, and he'll give you all-star quality play. You trade for Tobias Harris as your second best player or whatever, and you get that contract, you're getting a guy who'll 19, 20 points a night. Great, but he's definitely not he won't lift the floor of your franchise. And Al Horford, like, I call him like a lubricant player, because he like greases offensive lubricant. That's what I call him, which sounds disgusting. But because Al Horford kind of he makes everything better. It's not about his stats. So it's all about. But I think definitely John Wall is not as bad as the Tobias or the Al Horford contract. That's all I'm saying.
It's funny. Me and you were talking about like the most movable contracts, and then we were talking about, like, obviously the crux of this conversation is like the Charlotte Hornets, and why wouldn't you pay Kemba, because he's someone people pay to see. I would rather pay Kemba $200 million than pay Tobias $180. Like, at least
absolutely.
Kemba,
hands down.
At least Kemba's going to be an all-star. People are going to buy his jersey. Like, where are you going to be as a franchise if Tobias Harris is making $100 million? The answer is nowhere, right? Nowhere.
And I love Kemba to death, and he fits. I'm a Celtics fan. He's a great fit. I think they didn't see Jason Tatum developing the way he is now, and Jaylen Brown developing they are now, because I think as great as a fit he is, at that kind of money, it's kind of hard right now to have him as your second best player. So, but whatever. The point is, yes, Tobias is not in the same stratosphere as a Kemba, and it's all about what you need. But let's we digress. We're not doing a Philly podcast. We're not doing a Wizards podcast.
Or a Celtics podcast. Although the Celtics do have some bad contracts. It's funny. I think people are going to forget in time, but low key, that Gordon Hayward contract actually is a disaster. It only has one more year left.
Whoa. Let's talk about this. We'll hit this real quick. So, is he overpaid for what they want him to do? Absolutely. Would you, because of the injury issue, you can't look back and say they shouldn't have paid him. You know what I'm saying? It's bad because of the injury. And even this year, Gordon Hayward was really good last season. I think he averaged like 17, like 5 and 5 or something. Gordon Hayward was really good last year.
Yeah.
At times, he was their most consistent player. So I hear what you're saying. It turned out to be overpaid because, the whole scheme changed, right? Because it was built around Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, and get one more guy. That's the original plan.
Al Horford was the third guy.
Well, Al would have been that third guy, but they still were trying to get like another guy to come join them. Remember Jimmy Butler with Gordon Hayward? But once he got injured, killed the whole timeline, and then Kyrie decided to leave, everything changes. So is he overpaid? Absolutely. Gordon Hayward's overpaid for what they're asking him to do, but he's actually, for the player that they had signed, I don't think it was an overpay. But I digress.
Yeah, looking at his deal now, he's got 2 years left, 32 this year. This year's obviously over pretty much. Then next year is 34.1. He's going to be 30 years old, player option. He's obviously going to pick that up. So, whatever.
It's not that obvious. It's not that obvious because what the plan is, again, let's say he can opt out and get more money. Let's say he opts out for a shorter yearly big money long-term deal, right? Not even maybe Boston wants to do it. Boston would love to give him, hey, we'll give you 5 years, 20, last year an option. Or another team says, hey, man, we need a multifaceted player like you. We know you're injured. We'll give you 4 years, 110. We'll give you the Al Horford special. You know what I mean? So, we laugh about it. And honestly, the reason it won't happen now is because we know the salary cap is going to shrink. But Gordon Hayward, look at what were his numbers last season?
Let's find out. Again,
I think he was probably better than people think he was because he kind of was like, kind of lost in the Jason Tatum explosion and the Jaylen Brown big contract.
Yeah, 17.3 on 50% shooting, 6.5 and 4 assists. So pretty damn good. If his name was John Smith and he was making $3 million a year, we'd be calling that dude one of the most underrated players in the league.
If he was named, I don't know, but it's 17, 6, and 4. What was his three-point shooting like? Three-point shooting.
I did the quick view and I only saw the field goal percentage, but good thing I have Basketball Reference, which is the greatest fucking thing ever. 39.2.
Man, I mean, that's a good basketball player, man. He
Hell
played
yeah.
everywhere from 2 guard to power forward.
He actually almost was 50, 40, 90 this year. 50.2 field goal, 39.2 3-point, and 84.7 free throw. So that's actually this is one of his better years.
Yeah, I've said something. If you take the max money out of it, he had a great year. He had a great year. And the Celtics were one of the best defensive teams in the league. Had a top 5 offense. So I think can you admit this to me? Did you know his season was that good?
No, I didn't. I was hating unrealistically. Yeah. But I'm a Knicks fan, and I tend to. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard being a Knicks fan. At least
you know what? He would have been the best player in New York this year.
Yeah.
Easily.
Because I think RJ Barrett's numbers were slightly similar, but I'm positive RJ Barrett shot 30% from the field. He was pretty bad.
And Gordo's actually a decent defender too. The numbers don't really show it, but he's a very good position defender and a good team defender.
Yeah, so I think the last facet of our little GOAT talk for the Hornets is their just horrific drafting. So we were talking off air. Do we want to include the Hornets and the Bobcats? I think, this is like a Charlotte talk, and it's, there were some good Bobcats and obviously some terrible Bobcats. But we had a text chain, and you said, should we say who's the worst Hornet ever? Who's the worst Charlotte player ever? And I think my worst pick ever for them, unfortunately for him, it's got to be, and I like both these guys, but it's got to be between Kid Gilchrist at 2 and Adam Morrison at 3. It's got to be, right? What do you think?
And I feel bad because from all accounts, they're both good guys. They're good guys, right? So you don't want to talk bad about them. Gilchrist especially turned out to be a decent player, right? Sure, you pick him number 2, you want more than a decent player, but he played power forward, can guard basically 2 through 4, right?
Yeah.
Decent rebounder for smart cuts, almost like a power forward version of Andre Robertson. Couldn't shoot a lick. Probably not the strongest man defender. Andre Robertson was actually a really good on-ball defender. So but the fact is, not a bad player, but pick that number 2, you're not very happy. So that's up there. And I'd even say Morrison was worse I'll say worse because when you're
higher expectations.
Yeah, exactly. You're a terrible franchise. You were a star in college. You look like you're going to be you're slated to be a star scorer from all levels. You get to the NBA and you're Adam Morrison. It was his best year in Charlotte.
I want to go through
16 points per game. Go ahead, let's hear it.
Yeah, I want to go through just the lottery picks. Forget about the guys they took in the 20s, the guys they took in the second round. This list is really if you're squeamish, I hope you don't throw up hearing this as an NBA fan. But man, Person 3, Cody Zeller 4, Kid Gilchrist 2, Sean May number 5, Brandon Wright number 8, Frank Kaminsky number 9, Sean May 13. Noah Vonleh 9. I have a little bit of a soft spot for Noah Vonleh because he actually did pretty well for the Knicks, but then he's not a top 10 pick. And the last one that I think is one of the more egregious ones is they actually got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 11, which would have been a great pick, but then of course they traded it. So that is just a horrific. What's that?
Who would they trade him for?
I should know this off the top of my head, but let's find out. So
was that the trade for? Oh, I got an echo now. Why am I echoing?
Do you?
Yeah. The 2 guard from Kentucky. Was that him?
Let's find. It's possible that
Monk.
What was
that
Monk?
Monk?
Malik Monk. Was he involved in that trade? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade. It sucks typing this because he's now been involved in 2 huge trades. He's 21, 22, and he's been involved in 2 massive trades.
And he's awesome.
And honestly, it's crazy that the trade worked out for the Thunder. That Chris Paul trade. I mean, the Paul George trade. Who would have thought that? Let me pull up this that trade. Let's see. We'll go to transactions here. Traded by the Charlotte Hornets to the Clippers for Miles Bridges, a 2020 second and a 2021 first. Yeah, so that hasn't conveyed yet, but
Oh, all right. So Miles Bridges.
Miles Bridges. Yeah.
All right. So,
Not a good trade. Not a good
Yeah.
trade. But you know, something that I wrote down that I wanted to mention is, you know, where are we present date with the Hornets? No franchise player really. I do think Devontae Graham was one of their better picks. Malik Monk is okay. Rozier was to me was a panic sign. Like, oh shit, we lost Kemba. We got all this cap space. Rozier is one of the better guards on the market, but not a lot of talent on the roster.
Yeah, Rozier was definitely a swing for potential. They were trying. So here's what I always will stand by this, and it's true. This is why I don't blame teams when they tank. There's no worse place to be than NBA purgatory, where you're not bad enough to get an elite top guy as the number 1-2 pick, and you're not good enough to like make noise in the playoffs. You're just that team that you might challenge for a playoff spot, 8th seed, 7th seed, and you'll get crushed in the first round. You might pick you might pick 7th or 8th or 9th, which sure, you can find a guy there if you're lucky, but like, you know, the whole point is get a top pick. And that's where the Hornets have been for the last almost 2 decades, in that purgatory. Even when they get good picks, they miss on the picks, or it's a bad draft, just terrible luck. Like Adam Morrison, I think he was picked 3rd. Who else was in that draft? You know what I mean? Like there was, I even though it was a terrible pick, if you look at it, I don't think there was like, oh, they should have picked this guy. They messed up. You know what I mean? So like Charlotte is, and this is just a function of honestly of a poorly run franchise. I love Mike, but when your front office just makes the worst kind of decisions financially, draft pick wise, every year, year after year after year, then I mean that you guys start looking at the front office. You know, so here they are again. Like you said, like Graham. Is he built to be a number 1 player or the franchise centerpiece? No. He'll get the job done for right now. You put him with a really good player, he looks a lot better. Terry Rozier is so much potential, but I think as we saw this season, you tell me if I'm wrong, he's developing some really bad habits. He's not the smartest player as far as cerebral player. He has great physical tools. He still has to put it together, right? I mean, that's a pretty fair assessment of Terry Rozier. And then for that money, is it $19 million a year?
I think I'm pretty sure he got somewhere around 4 years, 50, which in the grand scheme of the NBA,
I want to say it was 56 or 57.
Okay, I just found it. It is Spot Track, which I use a lot. It says 3 years, 56.7, which 19 this year, 19 this year, 19 next year, 17.9 the year after. It's definitely not great, but this
not
is
horrible. Yeah. There's way worse, but that's. I feel like for the next 3 years, they're going to be spinning their wheels like they've been spinning their wheels.
That's Tim Hardaway Jr. money. That's what that is like.
Right, and that's your starting point guard, and really he's got supplanted by Graham because Graham's had the ball in his hand. So, so much in Charlotte, like people's numbers look decent. Miles, his numbers look all right, but what are you building there? What are you trying to do? You know what I mean? Who is the franchise? Who are the pieces you're really building around? And every year it seems like they're churning through a new. Well, we're going to try this. Malik, I love Malik amongst talent, and you put him somewhere like San Antonio, I think he turns into a good player. You put him with somebody who can develop him the right way. I think they do it with your boy, the power forward Miles, right? You put him somewhere where he's going to be developed. I feel different, and I just don't know I don't know what Charlotte's doing.
By the way, 2006 when Adam Morrison went 3, that was the year where Bargnani went number 1. So that kind of proves your point. As far as guys picked after Adam Morrison, it's a bit of a shit show because Tyrus Thomas went 4, obviously yikes. Sheldon Williams went 5, another yikes. Brandon Roy went 6 though. Brandon Roy, one of my all-time favorite players, stud. Injuries cut short of.
No, that wasn't the Chris Paul year. Okay, so Sheldon Williams, Brandon Roy was 6. Who else?
7, Randy Foye. 8, Rudy Gay. It was not a great draft.
That was a bad draft.
9, Patrick O'Bryant. 10, Mohamed Sene. 11, J.J. Redick. I'm just gonna skip over some of these names because they're irrelevant. But like,
no. Hold on. The people need
to hear. Okay, you want more? Okay.
People need to hear them. Yeah.
12, Hilton Armstrong. Shout out to UConn for having 2 lottery
Good
picks.
Lord.
I'm a UConn guy, so I know. Thabo Sefolosha, 13. Not bad for 13. Ronnie
He got a
Brewer.
pro. Oh, my God.
Ronnie Brewer, 14. Cedric Simmons, 15. And then it just starts getting weird, man. There are names like Ronnie Carney. You don't want to know.
Let's stop the names. You're right, because I'm getting depressed. That's horrific.
I'm trying to think if there were any gems in this draft. Oh, here one. Perfect. Actually, 2 really, really, really good pros in the second round. PJ Tucker, 35. The fifth pick in the second round. Toronto took him. I didn't even know he was on Toronto. And 47 overall, Paul Millsap.
Wow.
Utah had 2 picks, D. Brown and Paul Millsap back to back. I actually like D. Brown out of Illinois.
Wow. He was great in college. He just didn't make it as a pro. But that's fine. But wow, Millsap, Reddick, and PJ Tucker came out of that draft. But PJ bounced around. I don't even know how long he was in the league, because remember he had to go overseas for a while, and he came back.
PJ Tucker, no question, was like had that kind of like a lot of these journeymen, like a Matt Barnes type career. Like he was kind of on that trajectory, just being a journeyman. Has probably been on at least 4 or 5 teams. But yeah, the moral of the story is that Adam Morrison wasn't a good pick, but out of that top 10, not a lot of good players.
The only one you could retcon is say JJ Redick, right? Because he was great in college.
Great.
Yes, but I mean, I think there's questions about him as a pro. Too slow. Will he be able to? But whatever. So that's fine. But yeah, it's just bad luck, man. Number 3 pick in a bad draft.
The kid Gilchrist one, I believe, was 2013. I mean, we're here. Do you want to look at who they could have had in the 2012 draft?
Let's hear.
So this one is a perfect example of you just didn't get the number 1 pick and you happened to get number 2, because the number 1 pick in 2012 was Anthony Davis. So talk about possibly could have changed your franchise. Like that would have instantly been possibly their best player ever, right? Like
absolutely.
Possibly.
No, it's a pretty safe bet to say.
You're gonna cringe at a couple in a good way. You're gonna cringe because there's a couple guys that could have had here. So obviously Davis 1, Gilchrist went 2, Bradley Beal went 3. That's tough. Deion Waiters 4. Throw that away. Well, I don't want to shut him too much.
No, throw it away.
Okay. Well, if you think that's a throwaway, this one's like Thomas Robinson went 5.
That was to Sacramento?
Correct.
Yeah.
I kind of liked him in college. He was like kind of a bully.
I loved him in college, but you would think you would almost think he'd be a great modern day kind of power forward, block shots, rebound, whatever, even center, small ball center. He just never caught on. Yeah, just never caught
on. Number 6, this one's going to hurt for Charlotte fans. Damian Lillard went 6. And then you have guys that are good that rounded out this. There's actually some good players in the lottery here. Harrison Barnes 7, Terrence Rose 8, Drummond 9, Austin Rivers, Myers Leonard, Jeremy Lamb.
But none of those are franchise changers. You know what I mean? So Dame hurts.
Melo. Shout out to Fat Melo going 22. Rest in peace. But is it okay? Chris Middleton 39. That's probably the steal of the draft right there. The rest of this is not really worth bringing up, but not the right pick. We get kill Chris. That, like you said, bad franchises make bad calls, bad picks, and if you don't hit, you got to hit on at least a few, and they didn't hit on any of these except Kemba.
And then they didn't put anybody around him. So what's the point?
Man, I mean, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, that's tough. That's tough.
What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Well, Charlotte's been doing the same thing over and over again.
I think there was one other one. I mean, Kaminsky going 9. Once you're past the top 5, anybody could be a bust. Even number 1 picks can be bust. But I think so Cody's. This is the last one I'm gonna look up because I'm curious. Cody Zeller was 4. I understood the pick at the time. He was big. He's athletic. That whole family is athletic as fuck. I mean, they sent 3 guys to the NBA for God's sake. They took him 4 in the 2013 draft. Wow. Okay, I forgot. 2013 was that horrific Anthony Bennett #1 overall draft, and if you remember, that was a terrible.
Yeah.
I personally wanted Oladipo if had the number one pick. I love Oladipo, still do. But man, so they got him 4. Bennett 1, Oladipo 2, your boy Otto Porter 3, Cody Zeller 4, and then I guess the guys that were there. It's not fair to say this, but Giannis did go 15. It's not really fair to bring that up.
I mean, hindsight's 2020. You know what I mean? But like, he had the size, he had the length, but he's a unknown kid from Greece. You know, and I get it. There was some scouting done, but look at his first couple years. People are like, oh, what is this? What's happening here? But so yeah, he turned out awesome. They tip your hat to Milwaukee.
Yeah, that in retrospect, the whole Cody Zeller 4 thing. I'm looking at this draft, and it was a disaster. I mean, Alex Len went 5, Nerlens Noel 6, Ben McLemore 7, KCP 8, Trey Burke 9. The only real gem, well, there's a couple gems. CJ McCollum 10 and Steven Adams 12. I'm not going to bore you with the rest because it's kind of disastrous, but they would have loved to have Steven Adams or CJ McCollum. Schroeder 17. Then you got like the Gorgie Dangs of the world 21. Rudy Gobert 27. My mistake. That was an awesome pick, but nothing really in the second round. So yeah, Rudy Gobert. Steven Adams.
You know what though? Let's play. If we play that game, you put Rudy Gobert on the team that doesn't know how to build around him. What do? What happens? You put him on a team without great defensive players around him and a great scheme, and you don't get a Joe Ingles shooter, you don't get a Donovan Mitchell creator. What happens then? You know what I mean? How do we view Rudy Gobert? It's almost like we saw Draymond this year with a team full of nobodies. All right, good, triple single. You know, how impactful can you be when you don't have the right team around you for a guy like Rudy Gobert? You know what I mean? So much of players are dictated by what situation they go to. You know what I mean? It's fascinating. It's fascinating to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the theme here, obviously we got on this pod to talk about who's the GOAT Hornet, and the moral of the story here is that Charlotte ownership post Glenn Rice, what do all those guys have in common that we talked about except Kemba? They all were in the late 90s. Like they had a run where they had amazing, like, I don't know who their GM was then, but within the span of 5, 6, 7 years, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues, Del Curry, Glenn Rice, like now.
I want to say it was somebody named Babcock. That could be like Pete Babcock or
Mitch
something.
Babcock or something. I'd have to look
Pete
that
Babcock
up.
Or something. That's right. If I made that up, if I was right, I'm a genius. If I'm wrong, don't tell anybody. Okay.
If you're wrong, we'll set it out. But no, what I was gonna say is post Glenn Rice, Mourning, LJ, Kemba is the only one that we'll look back on in this 10-15 year. And if you throw out the Bobcats, because we both talked off air about how we love Gerald Wallace, we like Tyson Chandler, but overall, this franchise has been a disaster the last 15 years. Like, plain and simple.
And maybe you know 20. What? Again, a lot of it's bad luck because like Nick Batum at the time was considered to be a good signing, and somehow he just forgot to play basketball and he became Mr. Glass. Like that's just bad luck. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's whatever that franchise did to be cursed, they need to undo it. They need to maybe get Michael Jordan to stop wearing, 48 double wide leg jeans. I don't know, maybe get him some eye drops, get him some
for real,
some Visine. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, are you all caught up on The Last Dance? We'll wrap up with that. Talk about Jordan. What's that?
Let's do it. Yeah, absolutely. I've been, I'm hooked to it like everybody else.
What's been your favorite part so far? I won't say favorite episode because it's hard to remember what happens episode to episode. But what's been like your favorite?
Yeah. I like them really digging into the Tony Kukoc vendetta stuff. I just remember, like, I tweeted about it when he was like, "They don't even know me, man. I didn't know. They don't know me not to like me." He seemed like even years later, he seems personally offended and like befuddled by these two guys just ripping his heart out defensively in the USA game, in the Olympics game. That was probably my favorite part. Talking about Scottie Pippen sitting and how Bill Cartwright started crying. That to me, and then the fact that they still embraced him. And Steve, Kerr and them said, no, he'd already built so much goodwill that we were able to turn the page on that. Like, Scottie Pippen was my favorite player growing up. That's why I'm on Twitter. I'm Snottie Drippen. I love his game. I love his defense. Mike was the man, but I still like Scottie was my guy. So like to delve a little more into that and to see people giving him his props is probably my favorite part.
Yeah, totally. I didn't even know the whole backstory about. Obviously, I know that traded for him on draft night, Olden Polynice, one of the greatest draft heists ever. But I didn't know about the small school being like a team manager. Like he was basically on no one's radar.
Oh,
so
absolutely, yeah.
And
then to go from that to 7th pick is insane.
To go from that to like a no-brainer Hall of Famer, like Jordan doesn't win any of those titles without Scottie. Like obviously you need Rodman, you need Kerr, you need Scott, you need Phil, but without Pippen, there's no 6 rings. There's none of that.
Yeah, so I love seeing him get his props. How about you? What's your favorite part?
Yeah, the backstory of Scottie was definitely one of my favorite parts. I was pleasantly surprised. I did not think that they were going to talk about his dad. I thought that was maybe too touchy of a subject because I'm sure he's gotten interviewed in the past and he's like, "Fuck this! I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about my dad getting killed." I was surprised he talked about that. But yeah, I loved that. I loved my favorite part in general is just Mike being open and not being afraid to be like, "Yeah, I was an asshole. Yeah, I was a gambler. Yeah, I isolated my teammates." But yeah, I liked hearing about his family history. I liked hearing about. I actually, I think my favorite part was because we've all seen that photo of Jordan with, after he won the title, like the picture of him just laid out. But to actually hear him like sobbing, like
that was intense. Yeah,
that was more pain than it was excitement and glory. It was like, damn, like I'm fucked up. Like this, like I'm happy, but like I'm fucked up. So that was probably my favorite part.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Another one of my favorite parts was the fact that we heard the nugget. I didn't know this part that he didn't want to go to Nike to even visit, and his mom was like, "No, you're gonna go listen." The fact that Nike and everything that happened afterwards was contingent on his mother no, you're gonna go listen, and it turned into what it is. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible.
Talk about other brands dropping the ball, man. Adidas had him. Adidas had, I think, one shoe with Kobe, so they lost out on 2 of the greatest players ever. I mean, it's inexplicable to let that.
Just the fact, Nike went from a upstart to a global icon just on the back of basically on Michael Jordan, and that all it took was his mom saying, "No, you don't want to go. You're going to go listen." That's remarkable to me. So I also like the fact that sure we all you look at the numbers. I think a lot of people, I'm a little older. People look at the numbers. Oh, they talk about Michael this. To actually have footage and like a lot of context put to it, I'm glad that it's an education for I think a lot of people. People 20 and younger, 25 and younger. This is an education. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, one of my other favorites, and I didn't know this. Like, there was a lot of this stuff. If you're a true hoops head, there's a lot of this stuff that has been in other docs. Like, there's a Dream Team doc that had a lot of this stuff. There's a few docs that had some of this information already. Like I don't know if you ever saw the Jordan Rides the Bus doc. It was just about Jordan playing baseball.
No,
so it was a good one. It's not too much like baseball. I know you gave me a T earlier for talking about baseball, so that's my last reference. But I also really liked. I didn't know that about his second season when he came back and they put him on that minutes limit, and then they took him out and John Paxson hit the game winner. And if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. Jordan wouldn't have had that 63-point game against Boston.
Right.
That started everything. So if they didn't make the playoffs that year and Paxson misses that shot, I like the fact that started the whole, like, it painted a picture for you, like, okay, this is where the contention between MJ and the Bulls started. So I didn't know that story. So that was dope though to see that for sure.
Yeah, they did a really good job, and sure, Mike kind of controlled the whole production and everything, but it is what it is. I enjoy it. I think they're doing a real good job of storytelling. So.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we'll wrap up here, but yeah, man, we'll hopefully you'll join more Go Talks in the future. I think there's some awesome ones. Like we were talking about bad luck. Like I think the Blazers would be a good one. The fact that
Absolutely.
Aldridge left them. Brandon Roy getting hurt, missing out on Jordan, missing out on Kevin Durant. I mean, it's just it
Go
never
back even
stops.
further. Sam Bowie broke his foot and was troublesome there.
Bill
And
Walton.
then Bill Walton, same even further. Bill Walton, then Sam Bowie, Greg Oden. You know, like Greg Oden would have been a fine pick. You know, sure it's not Kevin Durant, but he'd been fine if he just didn't get injured. You know, and they started having to rob your boy Brandon Roy. Just that's why I really like Dame Lillard and the fact that he's like, no, this is I want to stay here. That's pretty awesome for them. But yeah, it's bad luck.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's been a great episode. Hopefully we'll do more of these. And yeah, James, Snottie, thanks for joining, man. This has been awesome. We'll definitely link up in the future for sure.
Hey man, anytime. Good time. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. All you gotta check me out, Snottie Drippen on Twitter. And that's it. I don't write anything else anymore. So I'm a has-been.
Yeah, well, you're not here to argue, but we argued quite a bit today. So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll do more of these in the future.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir.